Welcome, Carolyn Kelly. It's so nice of you to make the time today. And I'm looking forward to learning about Family Promise of Southern Delaware. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
How
Thanks so
did
much.
Oh my gosh, pleasure. How did you come to this work?
Well, I have been working in the homeless services arena for many years, maybe 20 at this point. I am from Baltimore originally. And so I worked in mental health and homeless services as an executive director there for adults with chronic mental illness and homelessness. Then I moved to Delaware, and I actually was working at the Stokely Center in Georgetown, which is an organization that treats folks with intellectual disabilities, and was hired by Family Promise in 2022.
You know, I have to make this observation. Just over the weekend, someone said to me, Lewis is really rather like Key West. It's becoming Key West with all the restaurants and activity. And Key West has a lot of homeless people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure people realize there are homeless people in the area where you're working.
Well, it's interesting because family homelessness is often unseen for a lot of reasons. Families don't want folks to know that they're homeless because they're mainly afraid that they're going to lose their children, or that they're embarrassed by it. And so there was a lot of homelessness here, especially in Sussex County, especially in the resort areas. In fact, the Cape Henlopen School District had the highest increase in homeless students of any of the districts in Sussex County. And Sussex County bears a higher percentage of homeless folks in this area than even Newcastle. So it's very real and very much in our backyard.
Wow. Carolyn, help us understand who it is you're serving. Describe some of the folks you're serving.
So we serve families with children. Most of our folks are working, frankly, but for something happened, and then they end up needing some assistance. Most of our folks are what United Way calls ALICE, which is asset limited income constrained folks, which means they're basically low income, but not necessarily low enough income to get all of the benefits that one would think one should have. So, for example, some of my families are the head of household was a certified nursing assistant working full time, or a restaurant manager, or all kinds of walks of life.
And as everyone knows, a great part of Sussex County, the resort area, is just, dependent on low-income service workers.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is many of them then don't have a place to go home to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's part of the problem. That's why they can't attract, they couldn't even get enough lifeguards or deputies for the local police department because the housing prices are so high here. It's $1,800 for a one-bedroom apartment around here. And that's just cost prohibitive. And then you add, the expense of just having kids. It just becomes impossible for folks to make it. And so that's why initially we are really focusing a lot on prevention, because once somebody becomes homeless, it's exponentially harder to get them back into housing, particularly around here, because number one, they'll have an eviction on their record. They'll be living in a hotel, which is going to take any last little bit of income that they had. And it's just become so much harder to even find a place. So we decided that as an organization, we would focus on prevention, and in the hopes that that sort of stems the tide a little bit.
Wow. What do you want people to understand about what you're doing here, in addition to what you've told me already, and how can we help?
So Family Promise is relatively new, and so we are out and about, kind of introducing ourselves to a lot of different organizations. I've spoken to Rotary groups and American Legion auxiliaries and churches and all kinds of folks. because we want to get our existence out there so that people know that we're here, in part because people run across folks who are homeless all the time. We got a call from a church after doing a talk that they noticed a woman who was sleeping in the Lewis Library parking lot, and she had 2 small children, and she was caring for those kids in the bathroom. God love her. And so we got a call and we assisted her in finding a place. But you just never know where folks are going to learn of a situation that someone's going to need some help. Of course, we also rely on the kindness of donations to make this work happen. We do have partnerships with the school districts, with Indian River, Cape Henlopen, and Seaford, to provide some financial support and assistance. But the majority of this work is done through donations. And then there's always, we're building our board of directors. We're always looking for volunteers. We're going to be putting together some events coming up this spring and summer that we could use, some time limited assistance for, and expertise. We're always looking for expertise. Our board of directors is relatively new, but they did a whole lot of work. I got to give them a lot of credit. Their first community meeting, ironically, was on March 12th, 2019, the first day that all of the pandemic hit the fan.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and actually the thing that they remember the most was everybody being terrified to be in this huge room together. And I don't blame them, because it was scary at the time. But they continued to march on, even though things kind of got crazy. And they put together this whole organization on their own as a volunteer board of directors. So they're incredibly dedicated. And we could always, we would love to add more folks who are dedicated to this cause as well.
Well, I think there's somewhat of a moral responsibility here for everyone that feels like, the Delaware Shore is the bomb and they enjoy all the restaurants and all the shopping. And you're telling me that these are largely the people that staff a lot of that. So
Yep.
We need to get down to it and do some work here.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Carolyn Kelly. I'll look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you.